This afternoon, I wanted to spend time with the subgroups that we created last week, and just very generically, I know there's people here that were not last week, we broke up into various subgroups contingent upon the representation that each of you had. And we've identified the various groups, and through the afternoon, we sort of gave assignments to each of the groups. It's a lot of work. I mean, there's some very critical things that need to come out of it. Just off the top of my head, probably the one that everybody's most familiar with, the 70-30 split, how that's going to be done. We assign that to the grow side. And the growers that are present here are going to go out and coordinate with the industry itself and bring something back to us. And what I was hopeful we could do this afternoon is I'd like to get just a very generic update. What you're seeing, what's good, what's bad, kind of what your issues are, and I don't want you to go into specifics of them because I know that they're going to evolve and they're going to change. And then before the end of the day, I'm going to ask you to kind of give me a timeline of when you think you'll have something that's worthy to be brought for the committee as a whole. And so once we get the update, what I want to do is break up into those groups to give you some time to discuss the issues. And again, I'll come around to the groups, if nothing else, just to make sure that you're going down the right road in terms of the issues that you're dealing with, whether you have, statutory basis and purpose, the foundation tools that you need, so nobody wastes their time. That's really what it's all about. So, with that said, if we could start with the MIPS, Greg, I think you were the spokesperson.
We have made some good progress since the last meeting. Our main topic that we've been focused on is the notion of a master contract, if you will, with subcontracts. That would be a state standard contract between MIPS facilities and MMCs. We've set some standards in place, or at least have outlined a set of standards that we'd like to have be part of the master contract. I believe there's 10 or 11. Jessica just handed me a few others that she wants to add to the list. Norton has been kind enough to take off his industry hat, put on his lawyer hat long enough to help us with drafting. Given that we don't have any money to pay a lawyer to do that, this lawyer will do it right.
That's something when I do have the work product, I'd like to bounce it off Bob, Dylan, and Rob and get their expert eyes on it.
It would be really helpful.
Yeah, and the other thing to recognize, if it's a state contract or a state form, ultimately, then the legal side will have to.
Yeah, and this is just content, proposed content. I mean, that's all it is.
Great.
We will have a contract draft ready to be reviewed, hopefully post that process, where, Brian and I will hopefully be involved in that also, by the next meeting. We also are opening up the larger bite of the elephant, and you may or may not want us to go there, but the notion of labeling standards and testing standards for infused products. There's a lot of conversation about what constitutes a dose or a dosage in this industry. People put 3x, 4x, 10x. X means what? It'll mean two things to two different people in the industry and outside. We'd like to take a stab at setting up, as a rulemaking group, recommendations about what is a dosage and testing standards that match that. And whether we're getting ahead of technology on that, getting ahead of the laboratory possibilities, we'd still like to take a look at it. And it's not something that we put up there last time, but it's something we kind of bounced around amongst ourselves. We've also had some overlap meetings with road committees on some of the issues that go on there. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Jessica, anything you want to add, or Brian?
I think that, we obviously want to all talk amongst ourselves before we bring too much more to the table, I think, than what we already have.
Great. Broad-based representation, do you have centers involved with your discussion?
Well,
have we contemplated that at this point?
We haven't brought anybody in. We'd love to.
Okay.
And there's a lot, like I said, there's been a lot of overlap with the grow folks, which also have to be centers. Like Bruce has been involved in those conversations. We met at my house yesterday on the top of the grows, also overlaps in this. We'd like to go across industry. We'd also really like to get the government involved on it, particularly the labeling standards, particularly in if we were going to dosages in the box also. What standards? Labeling standards for infused products, particularly dosage standards.
Okay. Good. Looks like you're making progress. Now, our next meeting